Hello, welcome. Roger Royce here. This is the 2021 Gubernatorial Recall Election Candidates Forum. We're now here with Jacqueline McGowan. Jacqueline is from Napa, California. She's a cannabis policy advisor. And Jacqueline, welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're about?
Thank you. I'm super grateful to be here. So thanks for having me. My name is Jacqueline McGowan. I am qualified on the ballot for September 14th in the recall race. I grew up in California and I left at the age of 18 to pursue a career on Wall Street. And I started working on the Chicago Board Options Exchange right after high school. I studied everything that I needed to study to become a broker. And I was on a seat at a young age. It was 24 or 26, and I'm not sure, but I know that I was the youngest broker, both male and female, on the Chicago Board Options Exchange at a very young age. And then I was transferred to New York's Wall Street. So I spent 9 years in Chicago's Wall Street, 9 years in New York's Wall Street. And then I took off and took a little break for a couple of years. Went to the Dominican Republic where I learned how to kiteboard and surf and play tennis. And I did all kinds of activities. And then I came back home to California. And that's where I discovered cannabis was the best medicine on the planet. And it freed me from a life like a prison of pharmaceuticals that the doctors told me I would never have any way of getting off. And that wasn't acceptable to me. I was having a lot of side effects from it, and it didn't seem to resonate with my doctors. And my father recommended that I try cannabis as medicine, and I thought he was crazy. But I was pretty desperate, so I was willing to give it a shot. And that led to becoming a local lobbyist, working on ordinances in different jurisdictions throughout the state. I then worked at a lobbying firm in Sacramento. They did state lobbying, I did local lobbying, and we pretty much had, every bit of information at our fingertips of what was going on in a very chaotic industry. And now that's led me to throw my hat in the race. I saw firsthand how issues that you and I care deeply about are used as political footballs in order to advance someone else's agenda. And it was gut-wrenching. And I remember, my firm really, really wanting me to advance and become a state lobbyist. And they kept offering me that position. And I said, I spent 18 years on Wall Street and you guys are dirtier. So I said, no, thanks. I don't think I want anything to do with this. And, what's gone down this year in the form of legislation has been the most offensive legislation that has hit our industry since it was regulated. And most of the industry doesn't even understand what has hit them because they're too busy trying to keep their businesses afloat. And they don't even realize that it's about to get a lot worse. So this administration used our issue and traded away our progress to satisfy the environmentalists so that someone could secure some votes in this election. And the last little bit of legislation that really provoked me and forced me, to say enough is enough. Enough is enough. I was a very big proponent for Newsom. I attended $30,000 bagel breakfasts and sucked money out of our industry to make sure he got elected, and he left us high and dry. And there's a lot of problems in the industry, and a lot of small farmers are so distraught that there's a very high rate of suicides going on in the industry right now. And so, but this little piece of legislation that really irked me was a portion which is on my website at jackie4gov.org. And it contained an allowance for the new Department of Cannabis Control to possess 50 caliber machine guns that are banned in the state of California. For some reason, the agency that regulates the legal cannabis industry needs these assault weapons. And, I'm pretty sure that 8 million people ran to the polls united in 2016 to end the drug war. And now this administration is starting a new one. And so that was just enough for me. And so it's pretty much why I'm here. I've spent the last, 3 weeks evolving my platform. And I'm having so much fun. I didn't know I would like this.
Okay, all righty. Okay, well, thanks for that. So I understand that that is a hot button issue for you, but let's talk about some of the broader issues now, if we could. So number one, there's a lot of reasons to run, that's for sure. But one of the big ones is that we seem to see an exodus of companies from California and businesses moving out of the state. And it's really hurting the state. It's destroying the tax base. What do you think about that? Is that something we should be concerned about? And if so, what would you do maybe to address that problem?
It absolutely is a very big concern. Most of my family has fled, and for multitudes of reasons, fires, drought, small business failures, overregulation, education, all of it. And so if we're to focus just on how to attract businesses, we have to start looking at emerging markets, such as cryptocurrency. I would love to see Silicon Valley step up and say, here is how we would like to start this process of slowly rolling out regulations so that Silicon Valley can continue to be the tech hub that it is. There are, the psychedelic industry we should be doing exactly what Oregon just did. Oregon just set up an entirely new market. We should be lowering the various barriers to entry in the legal cannabis industry, but most importantly, for all small businesses. And this is very near and dear to my heart. Anytime we're in a pandemic and we are raising regulations in one way on a business and saying, you have to have a minimum amount of people, equally spread out inside your business, or you have to shift and serve food outside, or you have, a smaller employee pool to draw from. And if your costs are going up and your revenue is going down, then we need to pause on all the other regulations. We need to say to the planning department, you know what, we're in a pandemic, and those regulations are not important at the moment. We can revisit that once we can start to revive the economy. But if we're raising regulations in one way and not lowering it in another way, I mean, that's exactly why there's so many business failures and there's a mass exodus. And we should be paying close attention to that.
Yeah, are you critical of the lockdowns, the statewide lockdowns, and the way that was handled?
I definitely thought at the time that it was what we needed, and then I thought that it went on just way too long. I'm critical of the rollout of vaccines, and I think that has played a really big part in this. I think there's a lot of misinformation in the media suggesting that this new surge in cases is caused by people that don't want to get vaccinated or don't want to wear masks, and I don't think that's true. I don't think that we have properly rolled out the vaccines in lower income communities. And there's other states that are doing that. There are other states that have vans that go through neighborhoods and ask people if they want a vaccine. And I think that we should be doing the same. The vaccine has become another form of something that's available to the elite and not the underprivileged.
Yeah, speaking of that, let's pause on that for a minute. There's been a lot of controversy here around not only the vaccine, but the new mask mandates, especially for students going back to school. A lot of schools just started again today. Do you have a view as to how that should be handled? Should there be a mask mandate in school? Should there be a vaccine mandate in school? Should students even be back in school?
We need to get students back in school for sure. And in order to keep everyone safe until we're able to get vaccines to people, we should be wearing masks. So, anyone who wants a vaccine should have access, and they don't. After that, once it is fully approved by the FDA, and I mean fully approved by the FDA, not this rushed, botched science. fully approved by the FDA, then that's when we need to mandate that, anyone that's receiving state funding is vaccinated. And until we have those things, we have to have masks in accordance with the CDC recommendations, not state recommendations. We need to follow the science.
Okay, great. All right. Is there anything else any other points you'd like to hammer home before we close out here? Any issues that, you've kind of hit the important ones for you. Is anything I haven't asked you about that I should have?
Just follow me on social media,
Well, that was my last question. How do people get a hold of you if they want to support your campaign or find out more about you?
My campaign is called McGowan for Governor 2021, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I'm on Instagram, but as my own name, Jacqueline McGowan.
What's your Twitter handle? How can we find you on Twitter?
I don't know exactly.
We'll find you and then we'll post it. We'll find it and post it on the website. How's that?
Yeah. And so my website is jackie4gov.org, JACKIE, the number 4.org. And, we could use all the support we could get. I'm not trying to recall Newsom. I did not sign the petition. I saw an opportunity to, get a podium and talk about how our industry has been overregulated and overtaxed for too long, and then didn't even know that I would have this much interest in all kinds of other issues, and so campaign strategy company and started vetting some of my solutions in all of these other areas. And they were coming back with, yeah, you could do that. I thought, oh my gosh, no way. Wow. Okay, I kind of like this now, And so we're going to continue to roll out the rest of my policy positions as this campaign moves forward. I think we have like 31 days left. And you're going to see a lot more interesting things come from me via social media. I have had a very difficult time getting anything in the press. I've had 5 articles that have been suppressed for some reason. I've had 6 press releases go out that no one picked up. And so we're going to still, move forward with that strategy, but we're also pivoting into social media where most of us have an enormous amount of followers anyway. And so we're just going to go talk to the people. And that's where we think that most people are getting their news. Most of my friends that have children have shut down mainstream media, and they've got their kids home from school. They barely got a break during COVID, and got their kids back to school. Now they've been back home and they are looking down the road at September and going, oh no, please don't make me do this all over again. I think that women are really the unsung heroes of COVID. And, they had to bring their businesses home. They had to maintain their homes, and they had to homeschool their children. And we've got to find a way, to give them some relief. I don't think that it's wise to send every kid back to school with, in the middle of a pandemic, unmasked, and that shouldn't even be an issue. If every Californian is concerned about getting this economy going, then everyone needs to do their part in order to make that happen. We all have to be team players.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And on that note, I want to thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks for having me.